What's up, everybody? We are back with another AI generated background. Just kidding. We're back with another video. This one's special today because we are going to be smoking the brand new regional from Sancho Panza. This is the Sancho Panza Rocinante, and I believe this is a Dahlia. Again, in true yuppie fashion, I did not do any research on this stick, really. This is a regional for Russia. I believe it's a Dahlia. Not quite a Lancero, a little bit thicker, a little bit shorter. But I'm very much looking forward to this. I recently smoked the Sancho Panza El Rey, which is a pretty old Sancho Panza Lancero, and that was great. It was just awesome. Really, it was just a chocolate bar of a smoke that was amazing. So there's going to be some traffic in the background. We're out here in the beautiful Warner Valley. And even though it's winter, you can probably tell it's a little bit warm out here. And, you know, we try to find a little shade. And I found this rock right next to me is a pretty cool little rock. We tried to get it in the video, but there's just not a lot to choose from out here in the desert, but it is gorgeous. Little bit of a firm draw, but that's okay. I wouldn't call it plugged, but I will try to massage this just a little bit. This cigar is brand new. This was sent to me just a couple days ago. I didn't let it rest at all. I have a few of these. I don't have the box because it's such a new release. I couldn't even get the box. I don't know if this is a preview or whatever. The person that I got these from, I think that he got a full 10. But he did not get a box. I think it just came in a ribbon or something like that is the story. I have seen only one person on the FOH message boards that has taken pictures of the box. Yeah, it's going to be fine. A couple flies out here. Probably okay. I'm going to use this torch lighter, which I hate using in the broad sun because I can't see the flame, and I always end up burning the wrapper. So let's try not to absolutely torch the wrapper on this one. That's the problem with torches, is in the broad daylight, you can't really see them. Unless I'm quote-unquote doing it wrong. Wow, already I can just tell it's so tasty. What a mess lighting that was, but actually not too bad. Wow. Wow. Right off the bat. Whew. Classic Sancho Panza. Salty pretzel. Wow. I'm really excited for this cigar, guys. I am really excited for this. Latest regional from Sancho Panza. I haven't even seen any boxes out there. I saw one guy in Europe with a box. Delicious. If you've ever had a Sancho Panza Bellicoso, that creamy, salty, a little bit of pretzel. There's a little bit more graham cracker in this one that I'm noticing than the Non Plus. Non Plus is a little bit sharper, and I would describe it as a little bit more of a toasted bread like a pretzel instead of a graham cracker. But this one, there's some really fresh graham cracker notes coming through. Very classic Sancho Panza salt. Just delicious. I'm excited for these because I believe this is the same size as the St. Louis Rey La Cuna that came out last year. I don't know the box date on this. I don't know the factory code. I wish I did. Wish I did more research. I was actually planning on doing some research in the drive over here, but alas, there's no reception out here. Deliciously smooth. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. I didn't do too bad on the light. As you can see, burn line is not bad at all. I didn't char the wrapper too badly, thankfully. Every time I use a torch outside in broad daylight, can't see the flame. Yeah. Classic salty toast. Classic salty toast. Just a little bit of pepper there. This is an incredibly young cigar, and one of the reasons why I don't mind that at all is because I'm super excited for it. Just like the Juan Lopez Finos that I made a video of, my first video, smoking. The Juan Lopez Finos was incredibly young as well. And I'm just not going to wait years and years to show these things. I'm excited that I found one. I don't know how many of these are in the States. I'm retrohaling this a couple times now, and it's really just not spicy. It is creamy. It's creamy like a Monte Cristo, but then it's got that salty Sancho Panza classic taste to it. The wrapper is just beautiful. Claro, Colorado shade. It's like a chocolate milk wrapper color. The draw is a little bit firm, but it's not plugged. But it is a little firm, and I can feel some tightness around the bands for sure. And I don't have my perfect draw with me or anything, but I don't know if it would actually need that. I was able to get more than one of these. The other cigar that I'm hunting down, you know, judiciously, intently, I'm at a loss for words right now. The other cigar that I'm hunting down voraciously with a tenacity is the Por Larrañaga Intemporalis. And from this same guy, thank you, I was able to get one Por Larrañaga Intemporalis, and I will be smoking that in a video soon. I'm going to let that rest a little bit longer. You know, I'm going to make sure that all the conditions are correct there because I only have one of those right now. If I get more, I'll be a little bit more hasty. I think I got 5 of these in total. And so if this one's not quite right, then I get a couple more chances to try it out. Just like the Juan Lopez Finos, this is a little immature, young. I wouldn't say it's ammonia, but there are some flavors that are just a little sharp. And I think those are going to calm down with time for sure. A little tannic for my wine drinkers out there. You know, it's just a little tannic, a little... If you have like an intense salt flavor, that's kind of how this is right now. But, you know, we're barely into it. We're barely into it, just this little bit. Oh man, I'm excited about this. Sancho Panza is such a delicious smoke with years and years of age on it. The Non Plus. I've had the Bellicoso. Bellicoso isn't exactly my size, but it is a phenomenal smoke. Anybody who's had a Sancho Panza knows what I'm talking about. And the longer you put them down, the smoother they get, the more cream they develop. I think it's more interesting than a Monte Cristo. A little more complexity than a Monte Cristo. Excuse me. The footnote, the aromas coming off of this. This is just great. Russia got a good cigar made for them right here. The Sancho Panza El Rey, I'm not exactly sure what country that was made for. Was it made for Asia Pacifico or something? Yeah, I think this is just... I probably jumped the gun a little bit, but I don't want to wait months and months. I want to get the content out there and show you guys the cigars that I'm excited about. If you come across these, you know, if you like the stuff that I like, I just wouldn't hesitate for a second to get a box of these. Get as many as you can because the situation in Cuba right now is crazy. And even if everything goes well, I don't think that the situation in Cuba is going to improve maybe for the rest of the year. I've been hearing reports that Cuba is not exporting any cigars. Other people have refuted that. I'm not sure if that's true or false. Wow. As we're getting further into this, more graham cracker. Right now, I would say it's, you know, pretty mild. I would struggle to say mild to medium, but milky, a little bit of chocolate milk, I guess you could say. Graham cracker, like a salty graham cracker, just like every other Sancho Panza I've had, except this has a little bit more complexity. It has a little bit more punch to it, I would say. especially retrohaling this. It's one of the smoothest retrohales I've ever, and maybe it's because I'm not getting enough smoke. Or maybe it's because the length of the cigar is enough right now. By the time the smoke hits my mouth and goes through my sinus, it's cooled off enough where I'm just not getting burnt. I'm not getting a spice on that retrohale, and it's awesome. Huge fan of Sancho Panza. I'm a huge fan of these weird little brands like Rafael Gonzalez. You know, even SLR, they don't have that much in the way of offerings in their regular production, and they really shine on their regionals. Yeah. So if you like stuff like that, if you like these oddities, and if you like that salty note that's just classic and prominent with Sancho Panza, you are going to love this. Absolutely. I'm really excited about this. I'm going to try and let the other ones that I have rest a little longer. When I say that, I'm going to try it for 30 days, not to touch one of these. 30 days, 60 day, 90 day, that would be cool. Man, really smooth. There is something about a young Cuban that's definitely coming through here. I mean, no doubt about it. This has got to be a 2025 box date. You go on cubancigarwebsite.com and you always see like, oh, this is like a 2023 release. But it was actually in circulation by 2025. So I don't know if they're doing pre-aging, if it takes them a long time to roll through production or what. But you can tell this is young. It's just a little tannic, a little bit of acidity on the tongue and on the back of your sinus, back of your throat. And I think that's something that's classic to go away with time in the humidor. The chocolate flavors are growing. There's definitely some cedar in there. I wouldn't call it like a straight wood. But there is something milky and creamy that I just love. Today we're out here in Warner Valley. I believe that's what this area is called. Behind me, you can see these stacked red rock cliffs. On the other side of those cliffs is Sand Hollow. Sand Hollow, it's kind of what it sounds like. It's a big dune recreation area filled with a ton of sand. This side that we're on here, there's a huge, basically, cliffside, and people use it as a shooting range. This is all government land, I think. BLM land, probably. And you can shoot against that mountain. But right now, very peaceful, quiet, other than a couple flies and bees actually buzzing around me. I like this cigar a lot. And yeah, I mean, this isn't its full potential. It's a little bit of a misfire or faux pas by smoking a cigar so young, especially from shipping. I think this just showed up in the mail at the beginning of this week. We're midweek right now, so maybe 3 days in the humidor, and I just couldn't wait. Just like the Juan Lopez Finos, I don't think that anybody else on YouTube had smoked or reviewed that cigar really. And I haven't seen anything on the Sancho Panza Rocinante Exclusivo Rusa. So I'm excited to be one of the first people putting out content on these brand new regionals from Cuba. It's just one of the things that I think is really cool, be able to get your hands on these early things. And so because of that, I'm not going to let it sit in my humidor for 6 months, for a year before I smoke it. Awesome. Awesome by my standards. I'm still trying to massage out this knot here, and it may not, I may not be able to do anything about it. I am getting smoke. I'm not getting a ton of smoke. The other day I had an El Rey del Mundo Trois Supreme, and that thing was just billowing clouds. It was insane. It was also about 7 years old, though. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it for this cigar. I think it's a great Sancho Panza. It's got a little bit more personality than your typical regular production non-plus or bellicoso. There's something a little bit more floral. That's where that cedar note is coming through. Maybe a little bit of, not really paprika, but maybe a little nutmeg or coriander. There's some kind of herb. There's some kind of dry herb in here. It might just be cedar. Such a great size. So I want to talk a little bit about wrapper color. This is a little rabbit hole that I've been going down because I had somebody strike up a conversation with me talking about factory codes, right? And mother factories, and how when you get a box from a mother factory, it's the end all be all. And that box is so much better than these provincial factories rolling them. Then I come to find out the Cohiba Coronas Especiales is one of my favorite cigars ever. That's one of my favorite cigars. It's pretty rare that you find one of those boxes that come from the El Laguito factory. So, and I've had other people tell me, look, when it comes to Cohiba, it doesn't matter who's rolling them. It doesn't matter what factory they come from. Everybody has respect for that brand, or, the blend and the leaves that they use are, specially selected for that brand and all this stuff. And so Cohiba's in a league of its own. Then I've had people tell me that the Por Larrañaga wow, so good. Por Larrañagas need to be rolled at La Corona for them to be really the best that they can be. So I struck up a few conversations. I posted a thread here and there, and I would say that the jury is out. I'd say that some people make it a big deal. I don't know if some people are willing to pay more for a mother factory code or not. Maybe it makes it slightly more desirable or flies off the shelf faster, but I don't think it necessarily commands a much higher price. And then that led me to wrapper color. So I have a box of PLPC from 2006, and they're just heavenly. They're insane. All right. Like caramel, butterscotch, beautiful smokes, right? Honey. I mean, they're just great. And then I got another box. I think it's from 2017. I noticed the wrappers are considerably darker. So I smoked one. This is 2026, 2025, 2026, right? So if you're smoking a Cuban from 2017, you're probably pretty good. You're seeing that what Min-Ron Knee would call, little Freudian slip there, possibly the second or third maturation of that cigar. So that expression of the cigar, by the 9th or 10th year, I mean, you're there, right? And I noticed the darker wrappers were much more powerful, more spicy, more leather, more earth. And, I'm going on and on about this subject, but what I really should have looked at is the factory code, so I could try and put some weight on that as well. But I noticed these darker wrapper PLPCs, even though they were 10 years old, not 20 years old, they were just a little spicier and truly darker, a heavier flavor, heavier taste, more spicy, more earthy, more powerful, more flavor. And the wrappers were considerably darker, noticeably, right? Wow. Toasted graham cracker, little bit of chocolate, little bit of salt, little bit of cream. This thing is going to be a s'mores by the time that you should be smoking it, which, I don't know if it's going to be 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. If you can get these, if you can get your hands on these, you should. Wow. I like Monte Cristo number 3s, number 4s, number 2s. I've never had a number 1. I've never had a Monte Cristo A. I have them in the humidor, but I just haven't gotten around to them. I like these better. I'm a huge fan of the Monte Cristo number 5. I just watched a little reel where Jim Belushi was telling a story about how he had a Monte Cristo number 5 on some beach in Europe while he was filming a movie. And that was nice. But Monte Cristo, especially the number 3s and 4s, even with age on them, they're just a little too plain, a little too boring, a little too creamy, maybe monotone. Maybe they're a little monotonous for my preferences. This Sancho Panza, and most Sancho Panzas, honestly, I would say are kind of in that vein, but with a little fun twist on them. Sorry about my nasal. I don't know what's going on. I come out here, middle of the desert. Suddenly I've got a little runny nose. Maybe it was those retrohales in the beginning. Sancho Panza are just a little bit more personality, flavor, complexity than you would get from a Monte Cristo, but they're in that same smooth profile, right? Wow. So, wrapper color, Cohiba Coronas Especiales, right? I've got a couple boxes of these, and I've got one box that's just this beautiful Claro wrapper. It's so light, it looks like a Connecticut. Beautiful golden honeycomb wrapper. A little bit lighter than gold, I would even say. And those are amazing. Amazing. Got another box of CCEs, and they are dark. Let me tell you, it might as well be a Maduro wrapper. It's insane. And, you know, I wonder how different those are going to be from one another. And so when I first started smoking cigars, I really started smoking New Worlds, and I kept a journal, even on my phone. I was outside smoking, and I'd be talking to my phone. I'd be, swipe typing all the flavors that I was getting, what I liked, what I didn't like, so I could narrow in on the things that I preferred. It's probably no surprise that Connecticut's quickly became the cigar that I wanted to smoke more often than not. Still, the Warped Saunter by Kyle Gellis is one of my favorite New World Connecticut's. It's just an awesome, awesome smoke. And so I'm curious to find out if Cuban cigars really do have a color preference that affects the flavor hugely. Wow. Or noticeably. So I think what I'm going to start doing is I'm going to start keeping my little cigar journal again a little bit more closely. And I'm going to try and weigh variations between factory codes, variations between wrapper colors. But, people have told me that, and I've kind of noticed it as well. I mean, from box to box, from cigar to cigar in the same box, you can have a different experience. And, that's just the way the cookie crumbles with these things, I guess. So, I mean, you are talking about organic matter, right? So, kind of makes sense that there's going to be some variation. Because of that firm draw, I got to take a little bit slower, longer puffs, but I think that's just making me enjoy it a little bit more. Might be cooling the smoke down. I'm smoking this cigar pretty slowly because I'm talking so much, and just because this draw is kind of making me. But it's really not bothering me. That Sancho Panza El Rey that I had, I mean, for a Lancero, that thing was putting off so much smoke. And I don't want to fuss with this too much, but it would be nice just to get a little bit more. I mean, it's great. What can I say? Young, for sure. It's young in a slightly different way than the Juan Lopez Finos was. Juan Lopez Finos was incredibly young as well. I think that salt note that Sancho Panza is known for is so prominent on this thing. It's kind of masking a little bit of that ammonia, forest floor that you would get or expect in a younger cigar. Hugely, hugely enjoyable. I got my FOH cigar stand here. Shout out to El Presidente. Hugely appreciate it. Big fan. Hope you guys are enjoying the view behind me. There was a little off-road caravan of Jeeps or something a minute ago. Probably like 5 or 6 of them. They do tours around here all the time. The red rocks are just gorgeous. Because of the snow and the rain that we've been getting recently, it's just green. It's just green what I'm looking at. So cool. And then you have that red rock just bouncing off of that. So awesome. Wow. Leave a comment below. Tell me what you think about wrapper colors. Do you prefer dark or light? Maduro, Claro, Colorado? Do you think that the darker wrappers are sweeter? I really love a sweet cigar. And if I've been cheating myself out of sweeter honey notes, more vanilla, and just because I've been avoiding the darker wrappered cigars, let me know that I'm an idiot and I need to revisit that. I should be smoking one of those CCEs shortly, and I'll try and do them back to back. I usually only have 1 cigar a day, if that. Sometimes I don't even have 1 cigar a day, maybe 3 a week or 2 a week, depending. But I'll try and smoke a light and a dark CCE, semi back to back and compare and see how that goes. This is great. Classic Sancho Panza flavors. Little more cream and graham cracker than your typical non-plus. I mean, think about a Bellicoso. A Sancho Panza Bellicoso. And then just shrink it down into a smaller ring gauge. Take a Sancho Panza non-plus and, give it a little bit more of a ring gauge. A little bit more length. Okay, so Rocinante is the name of Don Quixote's horse. And it said something about it being an aging, awkward steed for a knight. But I'll do a little bit more research into that. So this cigar is named after Don Quixote's horse. And Sancho Panza, I believe, is the name of Don Quixote's sidekick. So this would be Don Quixote's other sidekick. Very cool. Time for a little Coke Zero out here. Oh, beautiful weather today. I mean, it's, I don't know, 68 degrees, 71 degrees maybe. Bright blue skies, big red rocks, and then just a sea of green bushes out here. There's some cactus, there's some agave, there's some of these other, that grass that I was talking about that one time in that volcanic soil, plenty of that out here. Super duper cool. That Coca-Cola is not doing this cigar any favors. I pretty much just ruined it. A Coke Zero with a St. Louis Ray is a match made in heaven. Or perhaps the youth of this cigar is starting to come through with how close it's getting down to the end. Still plenty of that salty note. I think we're down to the final third. Maybe I'm a little bit too early in calling it that, but this is where we are now. There still is a little bit of that chocolate note coming through. That Sancho Panza El Rey, that Lancero had some major chocolate. But I mean, it's super old too. I think that's like a 2011, 2012 or something like that. Those were also stored in 50 cabs. They were only sold in 50 cabs. These are only going to be boxes of 10, which is just unfortunate. This thing still tastes great. I guarantee with just a couple years of downtime, I bet you're going to get a little bit less of that cedar and a little bit more of that chocolate. That's my hope anyway. Yeah, I mean, it's a little firm for sure. It's not terrible though. I don't wish that I had my perfect draw. See, that retro hail was just a little bit spicier. But it was a little bit spicier, but it's not spicy. That Juan Lopez was a little spicy for sure. This is just so creamy and milky. I love it. I mean, I love Sancho Panza though. So it's no surprise. And like I keep saying, this is a Sancho Panza with the volume turned up a little bit, is what I would say. Super enjoyable. I'm super lucky to have this. Especially this early in its release. So I have a little website that's not really doing anything at all. Yuppie.online. Maybe what I should do is kind of write these reviews up and keep track of my experiments, like the wrapper color comparison, maybe the mother factory stuff. And maybe I'll use that yuppie.online as a little bit of a blog to kind of capture my thoughts on it and talk about what I'm excited about. Right now, I think it just links to like my Twitter and my YouTube channel. There is a place for the blog in there, but and I think my email address is on there as well. Yeah, I mean, at this point, I wish there was a little bit more smoke coming off this cigar, but I'm not going to skewer it and, you know, make a big deal. I'm getting plenty of flavor. Yeah, it's just tight right here, kind of toward the cap and where the bands were, but didn't really bother me that much. Not plugged. Yeah, as this goes on, some more of that acidity, those tannins, less desirable flavors, but that's what I get for being hasty. Not as bad as some other cigars that I've had with plenty of age on them when they get down to, you know, the last third or whatever. I mean, I've had some really harsh smokes. Romeo, I would say, is one of those brands where when it gets down to the end, at least the ones that I've had, which admittedly I haven't had that many. I haven't smoked a ton of Churchills, or I've mainly had their other stuff like the Cedros No. 2, the I don't know if it was a Club King that I had the other day. Must have been a 40 ring gauge cigar. Romeo has so many Vitolas, it's insane. Romeo Petite Corona. I've had some of those. And when those get down to the end, they just get kind of real leathery, in my experience. Whew. Just that little retrohale. I think it's the temperature of the smoke. Just a little bit of a bite to it. Well, that's it, guys. Beautiful day out here. Really happy to have these, even though they're just a couple of these Sancho Panza Rocinantes. The new regional from Russia. Another beautiful day in southern Utah out here. Thanks for hanging out and smoking one down with me. And we will see you in the next one.